Hi there. Thank you so much for joining me today. I'm so glad you're here for this conversation. Welcome to Soulwise Intuitive. My name is Shelley, and today I want to discuss in more detail my experience as a highly sensitive person. My perspective on this topic comes very much from my own experience. I am not a psychologist or a medical doctor, although I do have a psychology degree. So everything I share is from what I've learned about myself in the world. Being a highly sensitive person relates to how we experience the world from an energetic perspective. Highly sensitive people often become overwhelmed when surrounded by large groups of people or exposed to things that irritate their sense of smell, sound, taste, touch, or sight. I use the perspective of energy because our senses are really relaying information back to our bodies, and that information is transmitted through energy. Our bodies are surrounded by an energy field which holds information about the world around us. Our senses interpret that energetic information and transmit it to our brain to process for analysis and understanding. We then choose to respond to that information in certain ways, expressed as an emotion. Emotions are really energy in motion. This energy vibrates at different rates and can be seen as existing on a scale from very low vibration to very high vibration, which gives us the range of emotions we experience from despair on the lower end all the way to joy on the higher end. Being highly sensitive can manifest in any number of ways and can vary in intensity. So, some highly sensitive people can tolerate some senses more than others. It is very much a spectrum. Highly sensitive people will often, as a result, be diagnosed with ADHD, autism, or other specific conditions like OCD and mood disorders. For me personally, I've never had an official diagnosis, but when I listen to other creators that have those experiences, for example, Mom on the Spectrum, who talks about late autism diagnosis, there are a number of things that feel familiar, and I can relate to some, not all, but some of what those who've been diagnosed with autism experience. These are all very complex topics, and I am not a professional, so I don't have any credentials to diagnose anything. However, if you suspect you are highly sensitive, it can be helpful to be aware of your specific sensitivities so you can try different approaches to be more intentional about how you experience the world around you. For myself, I've discovered that understanding my level of sensitivities has also helped me to create and communicate boundaries and supported me in my relationships. When other people understand what you need, they are better able to choose how they interact with you. That doesn't mean everyone will be accommodating by any means, but it definitely empowers you in your life. So when you have the ability to set a boundary to say, no, that's not okay, or that I find that really offensive, or I'm really challenged with what's happening right now, then at least you have the ability to manage any overwhelm or get yourself out of situations that aren't healthy. My personal story is one that I haven't really shared with a lot of people because I never had the words to describe what I experienced day to day. I've always known and felt different from other people, and I've always had very strong emotions and struggled to manage them. When I did express them, it made others uncomfortable and often resulted in being made fun of, being rejected, or being experiencing like reactions like anger, frustration, or judgment. So I learned it was better to hide my emotions to avoid those reactions rather than being authentic. And that resulted for me in a lot of childhood trauma, and I've spent years working on healing myself from it. My brain also works differently than most. I see everything, and I mean everything. I not only see all the little details, but I also see the whole system. My brain captures so much information at once that it can be overwhelming and confusing. I have a strong intuition that allows me to interpret all of it, but I struggle to communicate it to other people. I just know, and most people don't understand that sense of intuition. And what I'm discovering is that as our world changes, and we live in an information society right now, and as technology changes, as the internet changes with social media, there is more and more information that is bombarding us every single day. And yes, we can control how we interact and engage with that information, but it just feels like the world is more and more noisier than it has ever been in my experience. And so that has created even more challenges for me as I'm been trying to navigate and understand my high sensitivity, most notably in my work life, in my corporate life. So for years, I worked in the corporate realm, mostly in human resources. I did a lot of learning and development. I did a lot of experience design. I did a lot of technical writing. So much information. That was my life. And working in the corporate world was a real challenge when I was someone, or I am someone, who can take it all in and take it in at a very fast rate, but then need so much time to actually digest it, integrate it, analyze it. And so that the more information that comes into my experience, the harder and harder it became to actually do something with it and to communicate what I needed in those situations where I felt a lot of overwhelm and where I just needed time to be able to make sense of it. So for me, there's one of the ways that I've really learned to deal with my high sensitivity is through my spirituality. So I have always felt very protected and surrounded by what I refer to as angels. I grew up in the Roman Catholic Church and learned stories about God and Jesus, and the 10 Commandments were, used as a guide in our family for the way that we were supposed to live our lives. And I brought those ideas into my life, but not the religion specifically, because I could see the hypocrisy between what was taught to us and then the actions of the people around me. There was this cognitive dissonance. I didn't understand it. I didn't understand how people were saying one thing and doing another. And so where there were things that didn't make sense to me, I eventually grew away from religion. The sense that I felt, the knowing that I had that there was something bigger than me, stayed with me, and it has never gone away. I don't remember a lot from when I was little, but I do know I had a connection to spirit that was incredibly strong. Curiously enough, my mother always bought me angel ornaments at Christmas, which I never really thought about until later in life. But angels for me have always been something that I seem to just know and understand. It's something I align with. It's something that feels very comfortable and makes sense to me. And the concept of compassion, support, and empathy was something that the angels represented, and that's very much a part of who I feel I am. Angels aren't judgmental because they can see the light deep inside every human, regardless of how they show up in the world. And I've always felt them around me, and I still do to this day. They speak to me in different ways. Since I was little, they spoke to me through music. So I would wake up in the morning with a song in my head, or if I had a radio alarm, the song that would come on would always seem to have a message for me from my angels. And so I began to see signs in the world around me that made me think of the angels, and I would know that I was protected. I was able to create so many things for myself in my life without really knowing consciously how I was doing it. Over the last number of years, I see angel numbers all the time. And so angel numbers are just repeating numbers. And so I would look at the clock and it would read 1111, 222, 333, 444, 555. those were kind of those are the main numbers that I've been seeing over the last little while. And each of them have their own message, their own meaning. Or I would look at a license plate and I would see repeating numbers on the license plate. Or I would hear a video about something that I was just talking about that answered a question that I had. So I've even gotten to the point where I open up YouTube and I see what videos show up for me, because when I'm looking for a new perspective, I will often see a video from a creator I've never heard or seen before. And the skeptics always say, well, the algorithm will feed you more of what you pay attention to. And I say, exactly. A skeptic will think it's how the algorithm is designed, and I agree, because that is how the universe works. That's how energy works. Like attracts like. So you will always be attracted to where you focus your energy and vice versa. Energy in alignment with your focus shows up for you. What I think people don't understand is that we are all in control of it. It isn't some algorithm that decides what to feed us, but rather we choose what we want to see and the algorithm responds. It isn't in control like so many people want us to think. It is simply serving up what we are asking to see. And that is where our power lies. Being highly sensitive has taught me how truly powerful I really am. And we all have this power within us. It just so happens that I was born more in tune with it than others. I've been working with it all my life, so I've come to learn a lot about myself and a lot about how energy flows in the body. I'm still a student, and I wouldn't say that I'm an expert in it, but I've learned how to recognize it, how to sense it in my body, and even how to transmute it or change it to control the energy to my benefit. So I have so many different experiences that I want to share, more topics that I want to share with you, and more stories that I want to share, in the hopes that you'll be able to understand and benefit from all of that. So I hope that you took away something from this short little video today. If anything here resonated with you, please hit like and subscribe, and join me for more stories in the future. Thank you again, and have a great day. Hope to see you soon.